It's been almost a year since the UAE and Israel normalized ties under the historic Abraham Accords, and new business ties between these nations continue to flourish. Dorian Barak is a prominent investor and fund manager based in both Israel and Dubai, where he's been active for over a decade. He is currently playing an important role as the founder of the UAE-Israel Business Council and has seen firsthand how innovation and technology can affect business in the Middle East. Thanks, Dorian, for being with us. To start, you have played many roles in big industries around the world, but how has the UAE-Israel Business Council been different for you?
I think what's exciting about this opportunity is that there is so much pent-up demand. For so many years, Israelis have been curious about opportunities in the Gulf and in the UAE in particular, and Emiratis have sought to do business with Israelis through all kinds of different means. Finally, it's possible to do it directly.
What does the focus on innovation in the UAE, especially in Dubai, mean for the UAE-Israel business relationship?
Well, as you know, Dubai is the commercial capital of the UAE. It's also a really innovative market. Dubai also serves as sort of a capital for the region, for trade and commerce. Whether you're in South Asia, the Greater Middle East, East Africa, people look to Dubai as really the center of business for the region. This is what's attracted Israelis to the market. And I think what they found when they came to Dubai is that it's a much more innovative, technology-driven market than they expected. It's not just a source of capital. It's not just a place where people look to establish businesses or to raise money. It really has its own technology ecosystem, and it really is a place where you can find leading technologies, integrators, and capabilities across the spectrum.
There are many new initiatives underway in Dubai, including solar and green energy projects, the Dubai Food Tech Valley Initiative, and more. Is there an overall trend you're seeing?
Well, I think the trend is unmistakable. As we saw at GITEX, which is the leading technology summit which takes place in Dubai annually, dozens and dozens of Israeli companies are looking to Dubai as a market in which to base their businesses and expand throughout the region, either independently or with local partners. We've seen a lot of activity specifically in the food tech space and in the clean tech space. We've also seen in the renewables, I'll just give you one example, Al-Shirawi Enterprises signed an MOU recently with Fluence to bring Israel's leading water technologies to the UAE. What they found when they came there, though, is that Dubai already hosts a very mature clean tech market. Certainly there are capabilities that Israel can introduce to the market, but there are also domestic, let's call them indigenous capabilities, which we see throughout the Emirates, but especially in Dubai, which I think are surprising for some Israelis. They imagine Dubai as a market where you seek investment, where you establish operations. I think they've been positively surprised to discover that there really is a buoyant and very sophisticated technology ecosystem that already exists in the city.
Are there certain initiatives that are being taken concerning innovation that's bringing change to the Council's reporting?
Well, we didn't expect things to take off as quickly as they have. We've seen about 250 Israeli companies just in the past few months set up operations in the UAE. We expected it to be much slower. We've also seen dozens of Israeli companies hiring local staff. As you know, Dubai really represents an enormous pool of talent from all over the world, from North America, from Europe, from across the Middle East, from South Asia, and Emirati talent as well. And Israeli companies are increasingly tapping that talent. It's not just taking Israelis and bringing them to Dubai. It's Israelis operating in Dubai, benefiting from the unique capabilities of the local ecosystem, and really finding talent that they would find nowhere else in the world.
How does the UAE-Israel Business Council feel about moving forward after the pandemic, and especially with the rapid recovery we've seen in Dubai?
You know, one of the challenges we had when we set out with the UAE-Israel Business Council, both the Israelis and the Emiratis, was how to meet. How do you really engage with people online? So we began with a large series of seminars, which I think were very, very successful. They've attracted to us a membership community of around 5,000 people, which is really an enormous and startling figure. At the same time, now that things have opened up, as Israel has recovered from the pandemic, as Dubai has inoculated most of the population, you find a lot of Israelis and Emiratis meeting for the first time face-to-face under the auspices of the UAE Israel Business Council. And if you ask me or my partner, Fleur Hassan Nahum, That really is the most rewarding part of our work. It's bringing people together to see what they can do. Very often you don't know where business is going to take you, but when you meet and you begin to discuss opportunities, get to know each other, compare your advantages and how you can complete each other, you find that there are many, many more opportunities than you initially anticipated. So it's been a very, very rewarding process for all of us.
Do you sense developing trends in Dubai and the UAE?
In 2020, we saw about $200 to $250 million of trade, excluding tourism, between Israel and the UAE. This year, we're on target to see somewhere between 1 and 1.5 billion, which is a very significant number. And of course, I'm excluding from this tourism, which has become a real boon to the Dubai economy, but also a really unique and exciting destination that was denied to Israelis for so long. As we look to the future, and I'm speaking here about 2022, we expect trade to rise to around $2.5 billion by the end of 2022, and beyond that in 2023 and beyond. Of course, these are initial numbers, but we're looking at a very large opportunities for Israelis. This is a huge market for their goods and services. It's not just the UAE. It's also making use of Dubai as a springboard to target the rest of the region. And for Emiratis, as many know, Israel's a great place to get wonderful technology, often at a much lower cost, but with capabilities that exceed what they currently have. So it's a win-win situation for all, and the UAE-Israel Business Council is really proud and excited to be part of this and fostering it and taking it forward. On a personal level, it's very gratifying, but I know for all of our members, it's been something very, very rewarding. When we established the UAE-Israel Business Council back in 2021, we never anticipated we'd have over 4,000 members and followers on our various channels, really seeking information about how to advance trade between Israel and the UAE. We're speaking about Israelis, Emiratis, and people from beyond the region. There's been nothing more gratifying than to see Israelis and Emiratis come together, to get to know each other, to see how they can do business, to enter into MOUs, memorandums of understanding, and actually to trade. I think we're only seeing the beginning of this now. It's going to expand dramatically. We're just now in the post-COVID period. As time passes, you're going to see a huge ramp up of activity. Large Israeli multinationals are going to be setting up significant operations in the UAE. Startups are going to look to the sandbox, which is Dubai, no pun intended, to develop their technologies, to create go-to-market strategies, and really to employ the unique capabilities of Dubai in terms of talent and market reach as the capital of the region, to advance their businesses in a way that's a win-win opportunity for both Israelis and Emiratis.
Thank you, Dorian, for being with us and Beyond the Headlines.